With the college football playoff expanding to 12 teams, that's going to open up more avenues for representation in every conference. How the college football playoff committee views schedules is going to really factor in to how we see teams be represented in a dozen roster fight to the finish. But what team do I feel like has the best chance of making the college football playoff every single year in the new format? It's actually none from a conference. Surprise, surprise. It's Notre Dame. Let's go ahead and talk about it. But if you are new here, welcome on into the channel, people. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on Notre Dame going into 2024 and beyond. Are they one of the luckiest teams to make it to the CFP every year? Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, college football aficionados, Notre Dame faithful, and just fans of the sport in general about this channel, because we're on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Continue to follow me on social media, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport can go well past just the videos here on YouTube. So Notre Dame, what to make of them going into 2024? Well, last season, they finished 10-3. They were able to get a bowl win against Oregon State in the Sun Bowl, and they once again did a lot of good in the offseason. Another top 15 recruiting class underneath Marcus Freeman. They went and they riddled the transfer portal and added in proven commodities no bigger than Riley Leonard. And they might have gotten the best offensive coordinator in the game that was made available, Mike Denbrock. I didn't realize Denbrock was even on the market, but you got to realize he just worked with a Heisman Trophy quarterback that was mobile, had good arm strength, was able to extend plays outside the pocket, and wasn't afraid to lower the shoulder to get a few more yards after contact. Doesn't that sound like a guy such as Riley Leonard, the new passer leading the charge in South Bend? This is an offense that where if you look compared to what you have with Gerard Parker last year versus Denbrock, massive upgrade. Massive upgrade, in my opinion, top to bottom when you talk about this Notre Dame team. And they retained a lot of talent going into this year. Yes, they lose some players to the transfer portal. They're losing some names, object estimate to the NFL draft. But they regrouped and they feel very confident in the 4 stars, 3 stars that were sitting behind them that got a year to develop and maybe even improve better. Here's why I think Notre Dame, though, is in great hands moving forward when it comes to making the college football playoff every year. Their schedule, they get to make it up on their own. And usually it's filled with teams that they know that they're qualified to beat, but also teams that are going to be ranked at some point during the regular season, maybe when they play them, that's only going to bolster their resume. Look at the schedule this upcoming year. Texas A&M to begin the season at Kyle Field. Automatically, you're playing in an SEC environment to begin your season with a brand new quarterback, a brand new offensive coordinator against a team that's known for defense with a defensive-minded head coach, a coach that that Notre Dame fans know quite well from his time in South Bend underneath Brian Kelly. Mike Elko is going to get the best version of Texas A&M moving forward. How quickly does that adapt? Major question. But if you march into a stadium filled with over 100,000 people with a new quarterback and a new offensive system, and you win by, say, 10 points, automatic dub. It's an SEC team, a team that maybe ends up finding their stride by midseason and ends up finishing 9-3, 10-2, maybe even in the hunt for a college football playoff. Northern Illinois at Purdue, Miami of Ohio, all 3 winnable games. Then you get Louisville at home. Louisville once again scoured the transfer portal. They did everything that was needed to replace proven names that were leaving this offseason at quarterback, at wide receiver, defensive back, defensive end. They did their job to where I think that you're looking at Louisville only building off of a 10-4 record. Jeff Brom is one of the most underappreciated coaches in college football. He's always done more with less. They're probably going to be ranked in the preseason top 25. You look at their schedule, they may even be ranked when they march into Notre Dame Stadium. I think that's a win, and that's a ranked win. You also got games against Stanford, an ACC team, Georgia Tech, an ACC team, Navy, still a rivalry game in my opinion, Florida State, an ACC team, a Florida State team that will be coming to South Bend, Virginia, an ACC team, and you close out the year against a Big Ten team in USC. What version of USC are we getting? Kind of a toss-up right now. Offensively, I trust them. I know what I'm getting in Miller Moss, and I understand what I'm going to learn underneath Lincoln Riley. He gets quarterbacks. He does. You may hate him as a coach. You may think he's overrated, but when it comes to play calling and scheming up dials for his quarterback to be successful, very few that are as good as him when it comes to the process. So I know I'm getting a good quarterback play. What about the rest of the roster? How does this defense, especially with new coaches like D'Anton Lynn leading the charge, change it for the better? And they're going to the Big Ten. So their record, 7-5, 8-4. What if just say that they're 10-2 or 10-1 going into this game? Final game of the year for the Shillelagh Pipe. They're 10-2. They're 10-1. That's a ranked win. That's a probably top 10 win on your schedule. So Notre Dame would play against 6 or more group Power 4 level programs. They would still have a shot of being undefeated in conference play, and they're a major brand. They're a major brand in college football. You're not keeping out a blue blood when they go 11-1 and run the table. Let's just say they have one loss on the schedule, just one this year, and it comes randomly to Florida State on November 9th. That's their loss. And then they go 11-1. You wouldn't keep out an 11-1 Georgia, would you? You wouldn't keep out an 11-1 Ohio State, would you? Would you keep out an 11-1 Oregon? No. But when you look at the schedule and who they're playing, yeah, some of those games are certainly going to be maybe trap moments or maybe not as well as received in the public eye. But when you look at what they could be whenever they go either play on the road or they march into South Bend, they could be ranked matchups. So a team like Notre Dame, they get to play quality opponents. They get to play whatever schedule they want. They get to still be a ranked team. They upgrade, in my opinion, with both quarterback and offensive coordinator. They have a roster that is filled with 4-star talent. Tell me why Notre Dame is going to be kept out of the playoff. You already know that there's going to be at-large bids, at least 7 this year, maybe even more when we move forward because there's always conversations of expansion. Notre Dame, 11-1. You would pair them alongside any 10-2 roster in the SEC, any 10-2 roster in the Big Ten, probably any 9-3 roster or 11-1 roster in the ACC or in the Big 12. So you're not keeping them out. They're going to make a schedule every year that is compelling enough to where you feel like, yes, they can go toe-to-toe with anybody, but also enough to where they feel confident that they are going to be ranked at the season's end and they're going to be in the running for the college football playoff. That's why Notre Dame is probably the most beneficial of any roster in all of college football when it comes to a 12-team playoff. The blue blood mantra, the ability to be able to recruit, especially with a guy like Marcus Freeman at the helm, you're seeing stable growth every offseason, and now you feel like that you're going to be able to add in a quarterback every transfer portal cycle that comes in and makes a name for himself. Notre Dame is the biggest winner of all when it comes to the transfer portal. I mean, not the transfer portal, when it comes to the college football playoff expansion. They're never going to be left out if they go 11-1. Even at 10-2, it's going to be a hard-pressed conversation because then you have to look at the losses. Say it comes to a top 10 USC team and a top 5 Texas A&M team. Do you feel like that they weren't qualified in those games, especially if it came down to the wire? That's why you have to look at everything that unfolds with this Notre Dame roster. I think that the Irish are beneficial from getting into a new era of college football. They don't have a joint conference yet. They don't have to worry about if they'll be left out of the conversation because of their spectrum. And they know that they have enough talent on the roster to go toe-to-toe with anybody along the way to a national title. I think Notre Dame is actually one of the biggest benefactors in all of college football going into 2024. And they have the right coach at the helm, so long as they continue to recruit at an elite level, so long as they continue to punch out talent at an elite level. It's hard-pressed to say that Notre Dame will not be a factor in every CFP moving forward. Make sure that you comment down below your thoughts on Notre Dame in 2024. Also, what does the long-term future look like underneath Marcus Freeman? Hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss a single episode of Just Saying It. Continue to follow me on social media, Twitter, X, Instagram. Slide in the DMs. I'll answer any question you have at Mr. Cole Thompson. Continue to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Tell everybody about this channel. And until next time, see you later, folks.